Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back. We got another episode of the Fantasy Fellowship for you guys. We're going to be doing the Week 11 post-game notes tonight. We're going to look at the box scores, snaps, routes from Thursday night, and then all the games on Sunday. So we do have the Cowboys-Raiders going on tonight. I don't really like the Cowboys. I do like CeeDee Lamb, and I got this a few years ago. So we're wearing CeeDee Lamb tonight. I do have comments turned off so I can just plow through all the notes and get you guys everything that you need to know. If you guys want access to these, you guys can become a member on the fantasyfellowship.com where you can download these and look through these notes yourself. So let's just get right into it. The New York Jets, we did get news today that they're going with Tyrod Taylor. So the Justin Fields experiment is back on the shelf for who knows how long until Tyrod Taylor puts it back into Justin Fields' field. But what do we like? This game was weird. John Mechie made a couple plays. Adonai Mitchell had 6 targets to lead the team, only came down with 1 catch, only 2 fantasy points for him. Both tight ends were involved, 4 targets and 5 targets for the tight ends. They both had, the team high 4 receptions. So a little bit better in the passing game than the previous week. But without Garrett Wilson, this is not looking like a very fun passing pie. Now, it should even get maybe a step better going to Tyrod Taylor, who's a decent passer. And then Breece Hall here, you get a floor game with him, 14 carries, 2 receptions, 8.4 points. Fields did get you there with his legs. I believe he threw a touchdown to Mechie as well. So for fantasy, I think you're going to keep playing Breece Hall. You can play with Tyrod Taylor in Superflex if you got him there. I don't know if Isaiah Davis, he's just a handcuff at this point. I don't know if he's going to get enough usage, but if I remember, I think we had the good game. Was it Fields or was it Tyrod Taylor playing when Isaiah Davis had his big game? I can't remember. But if you want to add somebody in waiver wires this week, John Mechie, AD Mitchell, maybe there, maybe a little bump for Mason Taylor as well. So there's a little bit of hope here as the passing pie should look better going to Taylor, but I still don't have a lot of faith in the Jets. The Patriots, we didn't really learn much. TreVeyon Henderson, though, that was the whole thing. TreVeyon Henderson, 19 touches, 5 receptions, just amazing game. 3 touchdowns on the night. Didn't even need the other running backs. Dearness Johnson got 3 mop-up duty carries. Jack Westover did some fullback stuff, but this was the full TreVeyon Henderson experience that if you were patient enough, you were rewarded mightily on Thursday night to kick off your week. Drake May, again, the 2 Hendo touchdowns led to a quieter day for Drake May. 15-point floor game. You think you take that. And then Mac Hollins developing into maybe a guy that we could put into our flex lineups. Stephon Diggs obviously had a huge game with 9 catches, 11 targets. Kyle Williams running more routes and snaps than Demario Douglas, so he's officially hopped him, but Douglas still had 3 receptions on his 3 targets. But it is promising that Williams is getting the call up with Kayshon Boutte taking his seat for now. So what did we learn here? Hunter Henry floor game. You're going to keep plugging him away if you have him at tight end. You're going to keep starting Diggs. You're going to keep starting TreVeyon Henderson. I expect Ramondre Stevenson back this week, but I think the cat's kind of out of the bag. So Patriots, keep starting your guys. This awful Madrid game to start the Sunday morning slate. What did we learn here? Chris Rodriguez is the running back 1 for the Washington Commanders. 30 snaps out of 67, so not quite 50%, but Krosky Merritt only had 18 snaps. Jeremy McNichols got 17 snaps. And Rodriguez actually had the most routes of the 3 backs. So that was a nice win for him. 15 carries to lead the day. Merritt did get 9. McNichols got 4. McNichols still a passing down type of back. But I think right now, man, I would rather have Chris Rodriguez long-term rest of season here over Krosky Merritt. So it's looking like he was not able to take advantage of this great opportunity. So C-Rod could be picked up. I know they're on bye this weekend, but you could hold them and see what happens after the bye. Mariota played fine in this one, 15 points. You take that floor. Debo continues to play really well this year, 7 catches and a touchdown, 20 fantasy points there. No other receiver was really of note here. Chris Moore did run the most routes and snaps. He did earn 4 targets, but I'm not really – if it's not Debo or Terry, I don't want to deal with the receiver here for Washington. And then Zach Ertz continues to get, targeted, 8 targets, 4 catches on the day. So for fantasy, we didn't really learn anything. Just C-Rod taking over. Keep playing Debo. You can keep playing Zach Ertz. And then Mariota actually has been somewhat serviceable in Superflex League. So we'll move on from Washington. Ugly game. Miami Dolphins. Devon Achane, just doing what he does, 21 carries, 5 catches. Ollie Gordon kind of reestablishing himself as the clear lead back behind Achane. Jalen Wright only played 1 snap, 1 rushing attempt, and Ollie Gordon did get a rushing touchdown in this one. So this is kind of how I think the Dolphins want it to look. They only want Tua throwing the ball maybe 20, 25 times, and they want to be able to run the ball 30 times, which means getting Gordon involved and Devon Achane over 20 carries. So I do think Gordon remains a pretty high value stash rest of season. Waddle, floor game, 7 targets to lead the team, 3 receptions, 8.2 fantasy points. Was hoping for a bigger day from this passing offense against the Commanders. It just didn't happen. This game was a bit of a stinker from the start. And then Greg Dulcich tight end points down here. So it's Achane, Waddle, and then stash Gordon. You can maybe still flirt with Tua in super flex leagues, but pretty underwhelming start to the day. This is a big game. Carolina, Atlanta. It came up all roses for Carolina. Bryce Young has maybe one of the best days of his career. He ended up throwing, I think, 3 or 4 touchdowns, a massive amount of yards, 32 fantasy points for Bryce Young. So he looked great. Rico Dowdle didn't score a touchdown, but he got you 15 points. Like if that's the floor, man, that's pretty sweet. And Atlanta's defense had been decent, holding opponent running backs to points. Rico Dowdle fully the lead back here, getting 19 carries. Chuba only got 4. Rico is the RB1 for this team, and he's a top 10, top 12 running back rest of season, I think. Ted McMillan, this was the breakout game. He now gets 33 fantasy points in this game, 8 catches, just making big play after big play, especially yards after the catch, big presence in the red zone. Like, I don't know where I'm going to rank him in my rest of season rankings, but he's definitely going to be closer to like the top 15, top 20. We still have to, worry about consistency with Bryce Young, but this is a huge game that could install some confidence. And not only McMillan, but Bryce Young and just the Panthers in general. We did have an Xavier Legette injury to monitor, so we'll watch for that later in the week. But we finally got a little Jalen Coker preview here. 4 catches on 4 targets, 9 fantasy points. He did get a 2-point conversion, so it's 11. But good to see him making plays. And he's kind of the number 2 receiver here. Legette, again, we have to watch for his injury update. Legette had a big touchdown in this one. So if he's no-go this week, I do like Coker as a deep flex. And then Tommy Tremble continues to play a lot of snaps. Jatavian Sanders is the receiving tight end, but they're going to use a bunch of guys. It's just kind of off limits for me. So McMillan, yes. Dowdle, yes. Bryce Young, super flex. And then consider Coker and Legette, deeper stash plays at this point. But great game from Bryce Young. Big win, too. They're in the mix in the playoffs. I think they're 6-5 now. Jeez. Brutal day for the Atlanta Falcons. One, dropping a winnable home game to a team that you could have beat. And then you lose Michael Penix for the season. You also lose Drake London for a little bit here with the knee injury. So the news came out for Penix, not good. He's done for the year. We're going to see Kirk Cousins start the rest of the year. But it's Drake London for fantasy that we're more worried about. Penix was only, super flex leagues, and that's where Kirk Cousins can be added. But Drake London, he had been the number 1 wide receiver for the last couple of weeks in fantasy football. And he was on his way to a huge day today, another 7 catches, another over 100-yard day. He was making huge plays, and he didn't get hurt until the very end of this one. And they're saying it's a minor thing, maybe a week or 2. We'll see more as the week goes on. But we're going to be looking at Darnell Mooney on the waiver wire, who didn't really have a big game here, but 7 targets, number 2 on the team, 3 catches, 6 fantasy points. That's fine. Kyle Pitts had a quiet day, despite being out there for all the snaps and the routes. 3 targets, only 2 catches. Pitts and Mooney get the boost. I think Pitts is going to continue to be a low-end tight end 1. Mooney now becomes an interesting wide receiver 3 flex. And then I don't have a lot of faith in these guys behind him. I'm not picking up Sills, Hodge, or Casey Washington. Someone's going to run wide receiver 2 sets, but I just don't really have an answer for that right now. It looks like it could be Sills. It looks, we've seen these guys all kind of take a turn in the past. So I'm probably ignoring wide receiver 2 for Atlanta for the next week or 2. And, Bijan, just keep doing your Bijan things. And Tyler Algier even got some run in this one. So Falcons were down this week here, but we already were down. The Falcons weren't really that good to begin with. And now going to Kirk Cousins, maybe they get a new, maybe a new view here on the second half of the season, trying to improve their draft position. We'll see. Alrighty, Tampa Bay, Buffalo. What a game. We got to talk about Sean Tucker, right? I feel really bad. There was a guy on Twitter that asked me Zach Charbonnet or Sean Tucker, and I'm just like, well, I'm not sure what Sean Tucker's workload's going to be, and he just completely takes over the game. I think on Sunday morning there was another question about Sean Tucker, and I'm just like, let's go with Ricky Pearsall or something. And I wasn't sure what Sean Tucker's workload would be, and it ended up he was like the best player on the field besides Josh Allen. Sean Tucker was the ace in the Buccaneers cap. 19 carries, 2 receptions, 34 fantasy points. He ended up with 3 touchdowns on the day. Like he was just getting big play after big play. And Rachaad White still played more snaps, more routes, but Tucker was the lead ball carrier. And, we're going to get Bucky Irving back maybe this week. I think they play Sunday Night Football against the Rams. That sounds correct. So this Sean Tucker breakout, maybe it just the wrong time. If Bucky Irving comes back, I don't know what to do with it. So we'll let this marinate for another day, and we'll talk about it on the waiver wire. But it does look like Rachaad White is not the lead back anymore for Tampa Bay if Bucky Irving's out. It's probably going to be Sean Tucker because his big play ability is just too hard to ignore. Emeka Egbuka, 8 targets, 5 catches, 9 points. I don't know. I looked at his next gen stats chart, and it was just not very creative. So I don't know what's going on here with Buka. Teams, maybe they needed Mike Evans, to take some pressure off Egbuka. Maybe that was helping him start the year. And then Tez Johnson, we dropped the ball on this one. He got 3 rushing attempts, but only caught 1 pass, 1.6 fantasy points. Tez Johnson was like the guy of the stream on Wednesday or Thursday night when we were just getting hit with Tez Johnson questions. So I don't know what happened here. The usage was fine. Like he was the clear number 2 guy here, but Sterling Shepard ended up getting a lot of the underneath targets and things like that. But Tampa Bay really struggled in this one. Cade Otton, we had highlighted him. The Bills are very, very good against tight end. I think at this point, tight ends are just off limits. If your name's not McBride, Bowers, Kittle, maybe I don't know how many more Kelsey maybe at that point. But starting tight ends against the Bills is probably not the answer. Tampa Bay will regroup. They're going to get Bucky Irving back, I think, this week. They're also going to get potentially Chris Godwin back. But this Sean Tucker thing is cool. If Bucky Irving's back, what do we do here? So a lot of questions here. Baker Mayfield's still throwing it and getting fantasy points for you, but I have more questions with Tampa Bay after this game. Buffalo, man. I mean, this is just Josh Allen, James Cook putting the team on the back. Josh Allen with a big play to Tyrell Shavers for a huge touchdown. And then outside of that, I mean, Ty Johnson had a huge catch and run. James Cook had a huge touch and run. The receivers were actually terrible in this game. There was no receiving option outside of Shavers over 4 fantasy points. So Shakir, worst game of his season, only 1.7 points on 2 catches. Like, what are we doing? Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer, Gabe Davis is back. It's just a bunch of weird stuff going on here with the Bills receivers. And with Dalton Kincaid out, I think they struggled to just be consistent throwing the ball. They had the deep stuff going, obviously the big touchdown plays to the running backs and Shavers. But other than that, they kind of struggled. And it was just Josh Allen improvising and doing a lot of crazy stuff with his legs and moving the chains. So not sure what to make of this game. I think I'm still going to play Khalil Shakir as a wide receiver 3 flex. I think Dalton Kincaid's probably – I think these guys play Thursday Night Football against Houston. So I don't – you're going to start Josh Allen, James Cook, and consider Khalil Shakir. You can maybe play Dawson Knox. This Houston Texans defense is good, though, so I'm probably going to shy away from, everybody else besides Allen and Cook and continue to just rely on those guys. Oh, my goodness, the Chargers. What the hell was that? This was quite possibly the worst game of Justin Herbert's career. And he was just getting hit, getting pressured. He had constant pressure all day long in this one. He gets pulled in the early parts of the fourth quarter. He was pulled. And the only usable guy here was Keenan Allen, who caught 4 passes. Quentin Johnston, no catches. Ladd McConkey, 3 catches for 4 points. Even Oronde Gadsden, he was having a bad day until he still had a bad day, but he finally got a nice big chunk play at the end of the game. Not sure what happened here, man. They just got. Jacksonville was the more physical team. They dominated the line of scrimmage just on both offense and defensively. They just controlled this game and were able to run the ball. Chargers are on bye this week. I think I'm just going to move on here. We'll see about Omarion Hampton. I think he's got a chance to start practicing. They're on bye this week. They're not going to do any practice reports or anything like that, but I do want to see some positive reports on Omarion Hampton soon. But man, just what a bummer here. The Chargers dropping a big game in the AFC race. And the Jags, man, they had 3 running backs and they ran the ball 42 times. Like Jacksonville was beating them at halftime. I think it was 14-6, and they were looking good. And then they just completely just kept running the ball. And Trevor Lawrence didn't really have to do much. He was kind of bumper bowling at quarterback. But I did notice in the second half, like Lawrence was working. Like he was doing some good throws and picking up some big stuff down the field. So maybe a sign of the times of changing here for Jacksonville. Usually they lay these games up, but they're 6-4. They're clinging on to one of the seeds there in the AFC playoff race. We got to talk about Bashal Tutin, who did leave this game in the third quarter, but before he left, he was the lead ball carrier for the Jags. Bashal Tutin needs to be picked up in all formats right now. He might be the lead back. I don't know. I think this is the blueprint that the Jags want to win football games. They want to run the ball a ton with ETN, Tutin, and then LaQuint Allen did get 8 carries at the end of the game when it was out of hand. But this is how Jacksonville wants to play. They want to run the ball 30, 35 times with those 2 backs. They want to, have Trevor Lawrence scrambling and doing some things and looking downfield. Jacoby Myers looks really comfortable with Trevor Lawrence. So that feels like he might be your wide receiver 3 flex. Not sure what happened with Parker Washington in this game. Only 2 targets, 2 catches. Bit of a disappointment there. The tight ends, not much to be excited about. But this was a huge win. They ran the ball. They played good defense. We're going to get Brian Thomas Jr. back, I think, this week. And then you have Brenton Strange coming back here. So the Jags, they have some very easy matchups coming up. They're going to get Arizona this weekend. I think they got to go to Tennessee. And Tennessee, they have 2 Tennessee games left. And then they get the Jets. So there's some nice, juicy matchups here for the Jags offense. And if they can figure out how to not commit penalties and limit the turnovers and just play fundamental good football, they showed what they're capable of yesterday. All right, the Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings. Not the best game. This was a really ugly game from both sides. You got J.J. McCarthy throwing interceptions, Caleb Williams kind of stalling out in the red zone and settling for field goals. Kyle Monangai into DeAndre Swift. Like, that is the team right now. They ran the ball 33 times. Swift had 21 rushing attempts, 9 fantasy points. Kyle Monangai, despite getting 12 carries and a catch, he only had 10 points. He did get the rushing touchdown in this one, which was nice. But this is what the Bears want to do. This is kind of a poor man's Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. If you squint a little bit, that's kind of what they're trying to do. Romo Dunze led the team in targets, only 2 catches. DJ Moore still kind of struggling. There's a lot of things are just off in the passing game. The one thing that was working, though, in this game was Luther Burden and the tight ends. Luther Burden here, you'll notice, he actually, I think this was the first game of the year that he has hopped Olamide Zaccheaus 22 routes to Zaccheaus' 7. So I think Luther Burden's a guy that you could pick up in the waivers this week. He's not going to be sought after because he only scored 5 points, but I think big plays and touchdowns are coming for Luther Burden. So he's a sneaky one to add. You're going to keep playing Romo Dunze. DJ Moore is the one that we're a little worried about. He's been inconsistent all year, but Cole Kmet is healthy again. He comes back and leads the team with 5 catches, 9.5 fantasy points. Colston Loveland continues to make some big plays happen. He had a huge play on 3rd down with about 6 minutes left in this game to move the chains on a big 3rd down. So he continues to look good, but they're going to continue to use a lot of guys here, and they want the running backs to be the engine of this one. So the Bears, Caleb Williams, not playing his best at the moment, but they're getting wins, and I think that's a huge sign of growth for this team. So as a Packer fan, it's like, damn it, if they're going to play not so great and still win, this is a different Bears team, and they're finding ways to win games in the 4th quarter. So keep starting Swift. Monangai is a deep wide running back 3 flex. Keep playing Romo Dunze. Loveland Kmet thing is weird. I can't rank them as a top 12 tight end, but they can be used if you need it. The Vikings, just J.J. McCarthy, man. I didn't get a good look at a lot of the plays, but he did throw some bad interceptions in this one, just kind of threw him up. Justin Jefferson, 10 targets, only 6 catches. That's fine. That's probably what it's going to look like most of the season. But Jordan Addison, really inconsistent with his 6 targets. He did catch the big touchdown. Jalen Naylor continues to run as the number 3. Not really a fantasy-worthy guy, but if anything does happen to Jefferson or Addison, McCarthy actually looks best throwing towards Naylor. He's had some big plays with him throughout the season. And then Hawkinson, we can't start TJ Hawkinson right now. He's going to continue to be out there for a lot of snaps and routes, but the passing pie is not here. I really only want to be starting Justin Jefferson. And I think you can keep starting Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones does look good. He's the lead back in this one. Jordan Mason did. Mason actually kind of brought this team back a little bit. When McCarthy was really struggling, Mason broke off a couple big, 8-yard runs, and then he actually sealed it with that big touchdown to get them back into this game. So Mason continues to look okay, but this is Aaron Jones's backfield. I think McCarthy's just a super flex QB2. Vikings going to Green Bay this weekend. Big game. Packers, Vikings in Green Bay. And we'll talk about the Packers Giants next. This was a crazy game. The wind in this game was affecting the kicks, affecting the punts, affecting the deep downfield shots. There wasn't a lot of deep downfield shots, but Jordan Love hurts his left shoulder in this one. He was kind of running and scrambling, and he kind of just took a hit and came down on his left shoulder. He took the hit on his left shoulder, left the game for a little bit. You see Malik Willis go in and continue the drive that Love left on and go get a touchdown on it. Malik Willis continues to look good. So keep that in mind for Superflex Dynasty Leagues. But this was one of Jordan Love's best games. He only scored 18 fantasy points, but if you go just on Twitter and look at some of the throws he was making in this game, and the Packers had 6 drops on this day. I think I saw a tweet where they did the math, and this would have been a blowout had they continued to make those catches. But we did see Josh Jacobs leave early in this one. He would have had a huge day if he stayed in. But they're saying it's like a knee contusion thing. He avoided anything serious with the knee. But we're going to be talking about Emmanuel Wilson tomorrow night on the Waiver Wire show. And again, if you guys are just hanging out with me for the first time, I do this Monday evening post-game notes review, and then Tuesday nights we do the Waiver Wire show. That's at 7 p.m. Central Time. We'll talk more about it and get all these names. And basically, we just need more information. It sounds like they're saying Jacobs has a chance to play in Week 12, but as a Packer fan, I want him to rest and get ready for that Lions game on Thanksgiving. I think Wilson will be the lead back. You can see here he dominated the touches and the snaps and the routes over Chris Brooks. So he's the logical pickup this week if you need a running back. Christian Watson, he looks like a different guy. It's been a while since we saw him because he's been hurt, but he looks like he's kind of growing up. He's very physical too. That's the one thing that took him some time to get into, but he looks really strong at the catch point. He's making some big time red zone grabs and just downfield stuff, man. He looks really good. So he might, if I had to start one Packer receiver every week, he might be the guy. Romeo Doubs did lead the team in targets and tied with 4 receptions on the day, but he had some really bad drops on the day too. So I think going forward, you're starting Watson and Doubs as wide receiver 3 flexes. Matthew Golden, it was his first game back with that shoulder thing. Him and Dontavian Wicks kind of rotated as the number 3. Both guys aren't really usable for fantasy right now. It's just not happening for Matthew Golden. It's very frustrating. We're going to get Jaden Reed back soon, too, to complicate this whole thing. And then the Packers are committed to this big, ugly tight end by committee, which is kind of what they got to do. Fitzpatrick and Wiley, those guys are the muscle. They're going to do a lot of the blocking and the running routes and things like that. Musgrave, I might be done with Luke Musgrave. He shouldn't be added in any fantasy leagues right now. The Packers are going to continue to do this. This is what it's going to look like. You know, these guys are all going to catch a pass or 2 per game. One of them will catch a random ass touchdown. But for fantasy, it's all the running back and the receivers here with Jordan Love kind of facilitating. And you can see a lot of people caught balls. Packers are going to be hard to defend with all these guys doing different stuff. So gritty game here. Savion Williams with the catch of the day to get them down and basically, get a chance at taking a touchdown there. So huge game for the Packers, comeback win. The New York Giants actually looked pretty functional here with Jameis Winston, and it was the running backs. This game was built around Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary, who combined for 35 carries in this one. Singletary, of course, gets the touchdowns. Tracy, though, he was the workhorse. 19 carries, 4 catches, just consistently picking up big chunks of yardage, and the Giants dominated the time of possession in this one. So they were really running the ball and moving the chains and getting into good situations. The throwing game was inconsistent with Winston. They didn't let him throw the ball as much as I thought that they would. Wan'Dale Robinson did lead the team with 9 carries or 9 targets, 4 catches. Isaiah Hodgins, though, he was the guy catching all the third down stuff. So he might, if Slayton continues to miss time, you can look into Isaiah Hodgins this week. And then Theo Johnson was a nice outlet. He's a low-end tight end option if you need it. So we didn't really learn anything with the Giants. It looked pretty good though. I'm excited to see if Jackson Dart comes back this week, but I think Winston maybe one more week. If we get Winston, they're heading to the line, so that's a tough matchup. But I think Winston passed the test here, and Giants fans would be fine with him if he had to start one more game. All right, we're going on about 25 minutes here. I'm gonna pick up the pace just a little bit. The Bengals, I will say, Ja'Marr Chase just got suspended for Week 12, spitting at Jalen Ramsey. He had a bad game in this one, 9 targets, only 3 catches. We just didn't really learn anything about the Bengals in this one. They struggled. Chase Brown looked good though. He was just getting big chunk plays, and he's not a running back one, but he's a must start running back two. This at this time, with especially in PPR leagues. Like, yeah, I want Chase Brown in my lineup, but nothing really changed here. Like Chase Brown, yes, RB2, Ja'Marr Chase, T Higgins, keep starting those guys. If Chase does not win his appeal, yeah, you're going to play T Higgins. I'm probably not going to pick up Andre Yoshivas, but if you need to, I think that's fine. He would be the next man up. But Noah Fant also might be more involved. He did have 5 catches, there with 5 targets. He might be the guy involved. So we didn't really learn anything here. Just we'll see if Ja'Marr Chase is suspended or not still. And Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, he did leave this one with the left wrist. They're saying it's got a little fracture to it. He might be able to play through it. We'll find out more data throughout the week. And then Jaylen Warren did leave with an ankle injury. And this was going to be a big Jaylen Warren game. You can see Kenneth Gainwell, man, he just racked up receptions, 30 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns. Just a huge Kenneth Gainwell day. So if Warren's injury is indeed serious, like Gainwell would be a top priority. But there's a lot of moving pieces here. We got to watch for Rodgers. We got to watch for Jaylen Warren. Everything else on this team is not very exciting. DK Metcalf did have 8 targets, 5 catches, 10 fantasy points. He's a boom bust wide receiver 3 flex. We know what he is. But anything else here? Roman Wilson's, Calvin Austin, not interested in the other receivers. The tight end room is just so crazy. Arthur Smith he's a wild dude. Darnell Washington has continued to get more and more work. He might be their best tight end. 46 snaps to lead the team, 20 routes to lead the team. He used to not get that many routes, and now he is the primary route runner for the Steelers. And 5 targets, 4 catches. He had a play where he just kind of caught a ball over the middle and just kept running and just pushing and mowing dudes over. It was beautiful, as he's a huge dude, and it was just fun to watch. So Dynasty leagues, maybe Darnell Washington has a little bit of intrigue here. So we didn't really learn much from the Steelers. Just we got to watch these injury reports. If waiver wires are running tomorrow, I'm going to go get Kenneth Gainwell, maybe add Mason Rudolph in a Superflex league. But good win for the Steelers. They needed one. Alrighty, Houston Texans, no CJ Stroud. They struggled in this one. It was the Nico Collins breakout game a little bit here. 10 targets, 9 catches, 24 fantasy points, a big touchdown, and just big play catches from Nico Collins here. The Woody Marks backfield remains his, like 17 rushing attempts, only 3 for Nick Chubb. I would have liked some more passing numbers for Woody Marks here, but if this is the floor, like 6 to 10 points is the floor for Woody Marks. He continues to be the lead back here, dominating the snaps, the routes. I think he's still okay. Nick Chubb is basically just a handcuff at this point. Jaden Higgins, let's talk about him for a sec, because he kind of emerged last weekend as the wide receiver 2 for the Texans. Comes back out and does it again and looks good again with Davis Mills. 7 targets to be number 3 on the team, but the 4 catches, 9.5 fantasy points. Dynasty leagues, you're liking what you're seeing the last couple of weeks, and he might be this close to being a redraft ad because he's going to continue to play number 2 numbers here for the Texans. I might be interested. So it's looking good. Hutchinson, Christian Kirk can be dropped, by the way, in redraft, and I still like Jalen Noel in deeper leagues. I think he's eventually their slot receiver, but they just have too many mouths and too many bodies right now. And then Dalton Schultz, another game, 9 targets, 6 catches, just 11 fantasy points, man. He continues to just be a safety valve here for the quarterbacks. And then I will note, Cade Stover is back. If I go back to week 1, Cade Stover basically forced like a 50-50 split with Dalton Schultz. So they do like him. I do worry a little bit about Schultz's numbers coming down as the season goes on. So we'll watch for that. But Texans were able to find a way to win thanks to Nico Collins in another big game from Davis Mills. All right, Tennessee Titans. We lose Calvin Ridley for the year. He was already pretty much gone for the year anyways. But I will say, there's nothing good here on this chart. but what was good was Cam Ward was better. They were picking up third downs. They were doing some nice things. This team still had a ton of penalties, a ton of mistakes, but the product, I thought, if you take away the penalties and all the mistakes, this was as good of a day for Cam Ward as he's had so far in his career. So, what are we using for fantasy football? Probably nothing. Probably nothing, honestly. Tajay Spears maybe in a deep RB2 sense. Tony Pollard still leads the team in carries, gets a couple catches, but they can't run the ball. They can't do really anything. So I'm kind of just going to avoid the Titans. If you guys do have questions, we'll talk about it later. But let's get into these afternoon slates here. I got to pick up the pace. We're going on about half an hour here. I try to make this about 30, 35 minutes. And if you guys are liking this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe if you guys are new. I would really appreciate it. And check out thefantasyfellowship.com. Seattle Seahawks, the Sam Darnold ugly game here. But what went well? Jackson Smith-Njigba continues to look amazing. AJ Barner, 10 targets, 10 catches, 17 fantasy points. You can maybe pick him up. Like if you just lost Sam Laporta or you got someone on bye this week, you got Gadsden on bye, whatever. Like Barner is on the waiver wire list this week. I mean, these are awesome numbers. He pretty much ran. This was a full-time tight end role for him. Probably one of the first times I've seen that all season, and just an impressive number from him. And he's kind of been a touchdown guy, but if we're going to start getting volume, we're super interested. Cooper Kupp, 7 targets, nothing here. I think Cooper Kupp is probably droppable in redraft leagues. I don't know if I want to mess with him. We're going to see Rashid Shaheed continue to ramp up here, but it looks like he's up to speed as the number 3 receiver, running a lot of snaps and routes. I think big days are ahead for him. And then Kenneth Walker continues to look really, really good. And they finally gave him the touchdown at the goal line. So I love to see that. He was really good as a receiver too. I hope they continue to keep using him as a receiver because he's really good. He had so many receiving numbers last year and they just have continued to neglect him there. So I thought this was a win for Kenneth Walker fantasy owners. Charbonnet, this is the floor. He's going to continue to get double-digit touches and get a chance at touchdowns, but this was the floor here. And just an ugly game from Sam Darnold, 4 interceptions. I think I'm willing to overlook it. And this team's still trying to figure out who they are. We got Rashid Shaheed, no Torrey Horton yet. I'm expecting him to maybe come back and inject some life in here. So I'm not super concerned with Seattle. I think they're going to continue to grow and keep feeding Kenneth Walker, please. LA Rams. The Rams kind of won this game in the first quarter. Kieran Williams, big plays, big runs, touchdown. He was looking really good. And then they couldn't run the ball anymore. Like he had 15 points at the end of the first quarter, and he only ends up with 16.7. We didn't really learn anything from the Rams in this one. Tyler Higbee did get hurt. We're going to watch for his practice reports. Colby Parkinson was the next man up here. He led the team with snaps, routes, got a touchdown, whatever. But nothing really to learn from the Rams. This was not a great box score day. Puka and Adams still did only 1 catch for Devontae Adams, but it was for a touchdown at least. This was a bad game for the Rams, and they still found a way to win. So we're going to just move on and see what they do against Tampa Bay. 49ers Cardinals. Brock Purdy's back. Brock Purdy, low-end QB1, high-end QB2 for Superflex leagues. It looks really good. But this one was all Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle. Brock Purdy just throwing to these guys and getting them the ball. 3 touchdown passes to those guys that you're going to keep starting these guys. So we didn't really learn anything from the Rams. It does look pretty similar to how it was with Mac Jones. Jawan Jennings comes out, still a wide receiver 3 flex. Ricky Pearsall, really good numbers though. 41 snaps, 23 routes. Game was out of hand at the end, so they kind of relaxed on that. But nothing in the production column. Only 1 catch, 0 yards. I think I'm going to probably rank Ricky Pearsall as a wide receiver 3 flex this week. The usage looked good. He looked good. I think better days are coming for the 49ers passing offense. They just didn't really have to rely on they just didn't really have to do it. McCaffrey and generating turnovers. This game was kind of over by halftime. So we'll see what happens, but huge day for the 49ers offense. And then the Cardinals, man, this was a total garbage time game, but Jacoby Brissett, 47 completions, 22 fantasy points. We saw Michael Wilson dominate without Marvin Harrison. 17 targets, 14 catches, almost 30 fantasy points from Michael Wilson, which is pretty crazy that he didn't catch a touchdown. to have that many receptions and targets and not catch a touchdown was pretty impressive. Greg Dortch stepped up with 7 targets, 6 catches, and a touchdown. Trey McBride, yeah. So like, what did we learn here? No Marvin Harrison. It's like, okay, Michael Wilson, man, maybe he's a guy that we'll see if Marvin Harrison's back this week. But if Michael Wilson was not picked up this past week, like, yeah, pick him up. Let's see if Marvin Harrison's out another game. And even if Harrison's out another game, maybe Wilson kind of awoken here a little bit. So for fantasy, we did see Emari Demercado leave this game, and that led to Michael Carter leading the team in routes and snaps at the running back position. They could not run the ball because they were so far behind. So that would mean more Bam Knight, I think, in the future. Carter is the passing down back, though, if Demercado's out. So we'll find out more about that tomorrow. Still waiting for Trey Benson here. So Cardinals didn't really learn much. Just they got a lot of fight, though, with Jacoby Brissett, which I do like. And let's get Marvin Harrison Jr. back on this team. I don't even really want to talk about this game. This game was ugly. Lamar Jackson, awful game with interceptions. Derrick Henry got rolling. Keaton Mitchell looks like a guy that's ready to contribute every week here. He's the number 2 running back here, the handcuff. I know Justice Hill was out, but I do think Keaton Mitchell needs to find ways to keep getting touches like this. You're going to keep playing Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman didn't play, but we don't care about the Ravens' number 2 receiver anyways. And then Mark Andrews gets a crazy rushing touchdown. If you remove that rushing touchdown, it was a quiet day for him. Tough opponent. Browns defense is good. But I think you just move on with the Ravens. You're going to keep starting Lamar, Henry, Flowers. Consider Mark Andrews as your tight end, and we'll move on from there. You can maybe add Keaton Mitchell there on the waiver wire this week. I don't even want to talk about this. This is disgusting. I'm assuming Sanders starts this week. I think it looks better for Sanders if he starts this week. With a full week of practice and prep and things like that, it should look better. You can keep playing Quinshon Judkins, but I think if Sanders is starting, I just might have to take my hands off and see what happens before I trust it. So Browns, we shall see. Kansas City Chiefs will be quick here. Travis Kelce dominated. Rashee Rice struggled in this one. 6 catches, but only 9.7 fantasy points. Mahomes struggled in this one. This was a struggle one from the beginning. I do think Kareem Hunt remains a running back 2 flex as long as Isaiah Pacheco's out. We'll see about him next week. Didn't really learn anything new about the Chiefs. It's pretty much, is Pacheco playing? Okay. If he is, can't really use a running back. If he's out, I want to play Kareem Hunt. Keep playing Rice. Worthy, lowering him in my rankings. He's a boom bust wide receiver 3 flex. And then you got Travis Kelce down there, who's a must start. So didn't really learn much about the Chiefs. Just that we're a little nervous about the Chiefs right now. The Broncos, though, this was the big one because we know J.K. Dobbins is pretty much done for the year. And we were waiting for the R.J. Harvey game. Like, we just got that Travion Henderson game on Thursday Night Football, and we're like, let's go, R.J. Harvey time. And, 38 snaps out of 62, 20 routes out of 42. So he's basically a 50% player here. 11 carries. Jaleel McLaughlin did get 6. So I did expect some funkiness with Sean Payton using multiple backs. I got that wrong completely there. But they subbed Harvey out for the goal line touchdown to Jaleel McLaughlin. So if Harvey gets that touchdown, and I know he had like 3 consecutive touches before that, so maybe it was just a sub thing. But this looks okay. Like, I think Harvey's going to be a low-end RB2 for us going forward. McLaughlin should be added in deeper leagues. Sutton and Franklin, keep starting them. And I think they might have something in Pat Bryant, guys. He's keeping Marvin Mims off the field as the number 3 receiver right now. Dynasty leagues, Pat Bryant should be owned. This looks like a really nice trio of receivers with sprinkles of Marvin Mims. And then the tight end, yeah, it's still Evan Ingram, but I don't really want to start Evan Ingram. So if I'm starting Broncos, like Bo Nix, low-end QB1, Superflex QB2, we can keep playing RJ Harvey. We're going to pick up Jaleel McLaughlin on the waivers this week. Keep starting Sutton, keep starting Franklin. Maybe Pat Bryant's a redraft pickup. I don't know, man. That it was a good game from him. Very big game in a huge game as well. Yikes, the Lions. We didn't really learn anything here. Sam Laporta was not there. Brock Wright was the full-time tight end, but Goff was bad. Outdoor Goff in the cold. This was probably the worst Goff game I've seen in his career. 14 receptions on 31 targets. Didn't really learn anything here, but Jameson Williams is starting to pick up some consistency, so we love that. You're going to keep starting the guys here. Gibbs, Amon-Ra, Jameson, and maybe the Laporta injury helps Jameson Williams stay on target. David Montgomery, I've been lowering him every week in my rankings. He's just a running back 3 at this point. You're going to keep playing Gibbs, and I do think Goff is a better super flex QB too. He's not really a 1 QB starter. But I'm willing to move on from this one. They're going to get the Giants this week. It should be better days. Maybe Brock Wright, if you need a tight end this week with the buys or the injury, maybe Brock Wright has a nice bounce back game. And then the Eagles, again, another ugly offensive game here. Jalen Hurts gets you a rushing touchdown, but Saquon Barkley touches the ball 26 times and only gets 9.6 fantasy points. Like he's not close to what he was last year at all. And I don't know if it's part the offensive line. I don't know if it's just the funk in general, but this team is struggling on offense, but they keep winning. So that's all that's really important in the real scope of things. A.J. Brown does come back with a monster 12 targets, 7 catches, but no big plays. Devonta Smith, 5 targets, 1 catch. I'm pretty frustrated with this Eagles offense. You're going to keep playing Hurts and Barkley. I think A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, they're going to have a good game. I think they play Dallas this weekend, so they're going to have, wide receiver 2-3 rankings for me. And then Goddard, you can continue playing him if you need a tight end, but didn't really learn anything. These two teams they have their 5 dudes and they just give them the ball. So nothing new from this team, but they keep winning. And there you have it, guys. That is the post-game notes for week number 11. If you guys liked this video, I would appreciate it if you guys could, like the video with the thumbs. Subscribe if you guys are new. I do this every Monday around 5 o'clock Central Time, and we just go over the games. And I appreciate you hanging out with me. If you subscribe to the fantasyfellowship.com, it's $8 a month. You guys can get access to those post-game notes and see everything there for yourself and go over the data. Tomorrow, we'll go live Tuesday night, waiver wire show, 7 p.m. Central Time. We'll go live Wednesday and Thursday too. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys all so much. We'll enjoy the game tonight. I'm saying go Cowboys. I want to see a good game, but I need Trey Tucker to outscore CeeDee Lamb tonight to win in my main league. So we'll see how I do. Either way, thank you for joining me tonight, guys. Have a good rest of your night. Peace.